Barrett Cohen, 1890 WSCD Radio, the home of the Silver Knights, the voice of the Silver Knights. And I have with me today Mr. Rob Lucas. And Rob, we're going to do this thing every week, and I was originally going to call it Inside the Huddle. But listen, I've never been known for one to be original. So you came up with a new idea for this weekly show we're going to do. Tell everybody a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I was sitting down with Brett Sims, and we were talking a little bit about the Silver Knights and trying to figure out a term that works best that coincides with the medieval times of the knights. So we came up with Paladin, and Paladin is a fighter for good and virtue. Brett and I sat down and we determined that Paladin, which means a fighter for good and virtue, was fitting for the Silver Knights of Summit Country Day, that being a paladin. And a paladin is a fighter for good and virtue.
So we're going to call this Rob's Paladin. Is that where we're going to go? And Rob's Paladin, if you want to know, good and virtue, we'll discuss and go inside the huddle, go inside the game. And this week, we're going to start off by talking a little bit about defense. Of course, Rob played for the University of Cincinnati, the Bearcats, and was a linebacker. And we're going to talk every week about something that maybe you casual football fans might want to listen to, because it'll give you a little inside information about the game of football at all levels. And when you watch the game on Friday night, maybe Saturday during college football game day, or maybe Sunday if you watch that team that plays down at Paul Brown Stadium that classifies themselves as an NFL team, I speak of the Cincinnati Bengals, you will be hip to some of the lingo that they talk about. So, Rob, first and foremost, we're going to talk today about defense and the 3-4 versus the 4-3. Before we delve or dive into this, tell a little bit about the difference between the two.
The 3-4 and the 4-3, what that entails is it entails the down linemen and the linebackers. The first number you speak of, let's just say a 4-3. A 4-3 determines that you have 4 down linemen, defensive linemen, typically in a 3-point stance, and then you have 3 linebackers, 4-3. The linebackers will be your Mike backer, your Sam backer, which means your strong side, your Willie backer, which means your weak side. And now how you determine your strong side is typically where the tight end lines up. If the tight end lines up to the defense's right side, then it's strong right, and that's where your Sam backer lines up. Now in a 3-4, you're going to have 3 down linemen. Typically you're going to have a nose guard right over the center who snaps the ball to the quarterback, and then you're going to have 2-3 techniques, which are typically nose up on the guards. And then you have the outside backers, typically are on the line of scrimmage, but they're standing up. And those guys, the unique difference between the 3-4 and the 4-3 is that you can disguise your blitzes a little better. You don't know if one of those outside backers is going to rush or if he's going to drop back into coverage. And typically in the 3-4, you have more athletic people on the team. In the 4-3, you have bigger, stronger guys up on the line. And there's a lot of other unique features and benefits between a 3-4 and a 4-3, but just the understanding is that a 4-3, 4 down linemen, 3 linebackers. A 3-4, 3 down linemen and 4 linebackers.
Now, do you have a team that will do one or the other? Typically, you'll hear a team, a Dick LeBeau type defense will run a 3-4 or a 4-3. Is there a team that sticks to one, or do they let the game dictate which defense they're going to run? And is that something that's predetermined or something that's on a game day decision?
Barrett, it's actually both, and I'm glad you mentioned that because, in high school football, it's getting so much more advanced in the time that the coaches and the players put in to understand schemes and trying to get the matchups that they want to best fit what they're trying to do, primarily on offense, where a defense may see that they're going to bring in three wide receivers. So they may bring in a faster guy and pull a defensive lineman. So in essence, you're in a 3-4. But for the most part, what I've seen is you find out where your talent is with your top 11 guys, and if those top 11 guys happen to be very athletic, then you roll into the 3-4.
Let's go a little bit further. You mentioned about the Sam linebacker, which is the linebacker on the strong side. You got your Will linebacker on the weak side, and then Mike linebacker being your middle linebacker. Talk about the strengths and weaknesses of each of those positions. You just can't take a Sam linebacker and make him a Will linebacker, or take a Mike linebacker and make him a Sam linebacker. My brother, who played for Summit and several years in the NFL, he could play a Sam linebacker, but he certainly couldn't play a Mike linebacker. Explain a little bit about the differences between those three and how they play into that scheme of defense.
Yeah, absolutely. Typically, your Mike backer is really good between the tackles. And when I say between the tackles, that means from the offensive tackle, the left offensive tackle, to the right offensive tackle. And those are where the big guys are. He's able to read the run well, and his drop coverage is, of the three, comes in as the third worst, if you will. Now, your Sam backer is usually a little taller, a little stronger, and a little faster because he's typically in space. He's on that edge with the tight end, and nowadays tight ends are pretty athletic. So he has to bang the tight end and be able to come out and then make a tackle out into space if they try and run like a stretch play. Now your Willie backer, your weak side backer, he's your most athletic linebacker of the three. And he a lot of times will be in what we call the banjo, to where if his guy in coverage flared out, he would then push the corner off onto his guy, and now he's covering a wide receiver. So your Willie backer is the very athletic linebacker, plays in a lot of space most often. Sometimes he'll cover a slot guy, typically a bigger guy but a wide receiver. And then your Mike backer is really good within the tackles, and your Mike backer controls the defense. If there's audibles that need to be made on defense, he's like the quarterback of the defense. He'll tell guys where to go. He'll shift guys down. He'll put the defense in the proper coverage and in the proper front. And your Sammy backer is typically your bigger linebacker, a little taller.
Rob, unbelievable. It's a great opportunity for folks who maybe didn't know the difference between the 4-3 and the 3-4. Sam, Mike, we're going to have a quiz after these. Maybe every Friday night we'll have a quiz after the Rob's Paladin. Certainly it was very informative, Rob. We really appreciate it. If you do have any emails for Rob, you want to contact him, have any questions, or maybe you want to suggest a topic for him to address, you can simply email him at rob@wscdradio.com. Do you got to check those, Rob, yet? Are you hip? Have we set you up with the right information?
Actually, my 4-year-old showed me how to check them, so I'm hip, and she sent me a consulting bill.
So you can email Rob, and he'll take care of you, and maybe we'll, if you have something you want to know, just email him, rob@wscdradio.com, and we certainly will address it. If we don't hear anything, maybe we can talk about nickel and dime packages next weekend, staying with the consistency of defense. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. When you look at your defensive playbook, they can be 200 pages thick. And there's a ton of things that we can talk about on defense as well. Hiding coverages, nickel, dime, man, zone. Sometimes half the field is playing man, half the field's playing zone, and we can talk the unique features and benefits of each.
I think if people, in all seriousness, really would appreciate the game much more if they knew the ins and outs. And I know from a collegiate level, the playbooks. I remember Dustin when he played with the Rams back in 2001. I had an opportunity to look at the defensive playbook that he had. And you said 200 pages. That might have been an understatement. This thing looked like 5 high school textbooks all combined in one. And the amazing thing was if he had lost it, it was some ridiculous amount, thousands and thousands of dollars of a penalty. Because you can imagine if that playbook gets out, the integrity of the defense is pretty much gone.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely compromised. And this game is really, it's a chess match. When you truly dig down to the roots of the game, it's a chess match. The offense is trying to acquire a matchup that benefits them, and the defense is really trying to hide their weakness and or disguise coverages and fronts and blitzes and whatnot. It really is it's a chess match. And yeah, if your brother would have lost that playbook, or sold it to the highest bidder, there definitely would have compromised the defense.
But we would have been living large in some palatial estate in Indian Hill, probably. But Rob, do you have any questions for me?
How we looking with Coach Brown? How's he doing?
It's awesome. It's been great to have a steady line of communication with him. And I got some big news to break, too, as a matter of fact. I just found out late last evening in communicating with him that his majority of his staff and his football team will be present at the first Knights of the Round Table on August 25th. They're all going to be there. At least most of them are going to be there. They got a spaghetti dinner at 5 at the school, which they're going to have every Thursday. They're going to do that as a team this year. And then they're going to come over to Knights of the Round Table. As we like to say in cowboy country, That's bigger than Texas. That's Rob Lucas, and yours truly, Barrett, going the voice of the Knights. It's been Rob's Paladin on the home of the Silver Knights, 1890 WSCD Radio.